All right, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough. We have done it. Your only 3-time best ball champion has officially crossed 5,000 subscribers. You know what that means? We're not on the road to 5K anymore. We are on the road 10K. Hearing myself on my other channel here. But not only are we on the road to 10K, we're also going to be drafting my 100th Best Ball Mania. Of course, I did not want any of my loyal viewers to jump in here with me, so I waited for this draft to fill before we shared it. We're trying to get an organic room. I also wrote an article today about the playoffs. Playoffs? Talking about playoffs? Yes, we are. You know, the difference between your home league and we gotta go Bijan here. I go Bijan after the playoff article. Bijan, of course, gets Washington week 17, 32nd defense and points allowed last year. Not the stickiest of stats, but Washington almost certainly is not going to be a good defense this year. Anyways, this article I uploaded at beatbestball.com. That is $99 for the whole year. Depending when you sign up, we'll cover you for everything. You also get a $15 rake back because you'll get a free ticket to the Drafters Championship there if you sign up with me. But in that, the difference between your home league and best ball is people that draft in their home league, what are they trying to do? They're trying to draft players who score a lot of points each week of the season, right? They're trying to win the regular season, and then they'll figure it out in the playoffs, right? Well, that's not the same thing for best ball. It's not at all, right? What decides who wins all the money in best ball tournaments is who scores the most points in the playoffs, and more importantly, who scores the most points week 17. That's who decides it. You may not like it, but that's the game we are playing. So don't fool yourself on what game we're playing. The game last year was not who drafted Raheem Mostert, right? That got you a lot of teams to the playoffs. It was not who drafted Puka Nacua. That was a great hit. Good for you. You didn't win any money because who did you really need to win money last year? You needed CeeDee Lamb. You needed Kyron Williams, right? So, highly recommend you check that out. A big reason I won Best Ball Mania 2 is because I identified the Lions defense as a terrible run defense. They were bad the year before. They didn't do anything to change it. I drafted a lot of Chris Carson. I drafted a lot of Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny actually ended up on my winning team. And him combined with the Amon-Ra St. Brown bringback, week 17 bringback, something I helped to make popular, is why I won $1 million that year. Because they both went off for 30 points. Hey, Liam, I signed up for the yearly subscription to the website. How can I get the Drafters ticket? The way that works is you sign up once a week. I send the emails over to Drafters. They deposit the tickets. I don't deposit the tickets. They deposit it. If you signed up for my site with a different email from the email you use with your Drafters account, well, then you need to reach out to me with proof of purchase of my site and tell me what is the correct email of your Drafters account. So I send those over in weekly batches. They deposit the tickets. Rico Dowdle. Someone asked about that. Basically, Stephen Jones was asked today about the running backs, and let's bring this up here. Let's bring this up. Let's make our pick first. We're going with Brandon Ayuk. We're building a champion right here. Bijan and Ayuk. Let's go. Get those thumbs up. Like the video. Subscribe. We are on the road to 10K. And if for some reason you're not up and running on Underdog, promo code ChessLiam, $250 deposit match. But let's get these tweets pulled up. So, Stephen Jones said that running back Royce Freeman has really impressed and yada yada. He was surprised he was available. Royce Freeman, all of like 200 rushing yards last year. At the end, he said, he'll be a good addition, a great compliment to Ezekiel Elliott. And then we'll let those young guys between Rico and Malik Davis battle it out. In my opinion, executive vice president is his role there. That's not that meaningful. What is this guy's job? This guy's job is to basically get fans excited about the team. He's not the head coach. He doesn't decide who sees the field. Mike McCarthy, courtesy of Coach Speak Index here, asked on how many running backs will comprise the running back by committee. He said whether it's 2, whether it's 3, to be honest with you, the players will determine that. On Rico Dowdle, he said he's definitely one of the lead guys in the room. So, even though this was said on May 30th, I'm more willing to trust McCarthy than I am Stephen Jones, who's really just trying to hype up. There's a lot of bad vibes about the Cowboys right now. They haven't paid CeeDee Lamb. They haven't paid Dak Prescott, and they might not. They're trotting out a sad running back core. We're going Kyren Williams too. We're going to alpha on them. We're going to figure out wide receiver. Kyren Williams gets the Rams week 17. This is all about getting the guys who are going to score a lot of points week 17. In my playoff article, at the end, I did a fun thought exercise where I said, let's try to build the team that's going to win Best Ball Mania 5. Bijan almost made the list. Kyren and Ayuk, maybe they made the list. But anyways, on Rico, I'm more willing to trust a guy like the coach than I am the dude who's going to try to get positive vibes about the team, right? He's trying to excite fans. So no, I don't think it's actionable. He said that. I will drop Rico a little bit if his ADP tanks, because I weigh in ADP as part of my rankings, but I don't feel any worse about Rico. I drafted him around his ADP today, earlier, even after that news came out. You cannot. My exposures come the day the contest launches. Thoughts on Kyren in the mid-third? Yeah, I mean, Kyren Williams drawing very likely to be a smash. I have him ranked right next to Saquon. Again, you get to the Cardinals week 17. That game should be a shootout, and or the Rams destroy the Cardinals. Really like Kyren. The only thing he has going against him is he's a running back, right? Yes, some injury history, but we don't draft for downside. What was your thought process on fading first-round pick Austin Eckler last year? I also faded Travis Kelce. My thought process was they were both very old, and I didn't think it was that likely that these old guys were going to beat me over the course of a 17-week season. And I wanted to get younger players who I liked more than them. Man, so we would get McBride sometimes here in the 5th. Far from lock. This is full of randos here, right? Like this guy's going RB heavy. Wide receiver, definitely the more prudent pick. We're going with Kirk. Kirk made the we got a Kincaid reach here. Kirk made the shootout or the perfect roster. He's got a shootout game against the Titans, probably week 17. Christian Kirk's also been in all 3 of my winning best ball teams, so a little brand loyalty there. McBride was also on my winning 555 team. So we're hoping McBride falls. Yes, Michael Pittman was an ADP steal, but I don't really like Michael Pittman that much. So yeah, thought process on fading Eckler and Kelce. They were old. Didn't think it was likely they would beat me. I've historically taken huge fades in the first round. I'm not approaching it the same this year. The only guy I faded more than others is Breece Hall. Everyone else I'm getting exposure to. The only reason I'm fading Breece Hall is I don't like his week 17 matchup. right? If we compare Bijan versus Brees, Brees is playing the Bills. Now, maybe Brees goes for 30. Possible, right? Brees is a very good football player. No doubts there. Maybe that game shoots out. However, as I currently see it, the Bills are an elite offense. It's very likely they're going to have possession of the ball a lot of the time. It's very likely they're going to score points even against an elite defense. That's not an environment for a ton of running back points. Bijan gets to play the pace up Commanders week 17, who are going to play a lot of plays. They're going to run a lot of plays with Cliff Kingsbury. He's also a very good running back, probably a better prospect than Brees, right? And the Commanders were 32nd in points allowed last year by a wide margin. They were terrible, right? So that's enough of a tiebreak to me. Yeah, the only thing we can guarantee is chaos, absolutely. But yeah, so on the first round picks, I'm not fading as much anymore because I feel like the market has got it right, right? Who are the old guys? Tyreek and CMC. And those are way more scary fades than Eckler and Kelsey were, right? And maybe I ran good on the Eckler fade. He had a high ankle sprain. Maybe I ran good on the Kelsey fade, right? He went off in the playoffs, but there was a thought process behind it. We did not get McBride, by the way. Yeah, I kind of want to get hired as a Cowboys beat reporter because I could afford to be fired and just ask them like straight up, like, do you think you would have a job in another field? Because you guys have to realize that beat reporters, let's definitely get Scary Terry here, a bring back against Bijan week 17. But beat reporters are not allowed to just say what they want, right? Access to an NFL team is a very valuable thing, and they will be fired if they just say what they will. So for going Bijan and Kyron, pretty good wide receiver room. Ayuk, Kirk, Terry McLaurin. When the room is giving us that, we'll take it, you know? We'll see how this guy's wide receiver room turns out, though. Brees, Derrick Henry, ETN. What's your take on Chargers backfield? I like Gus as the one. I've always thought it was crazy what the market's doing with Kamani. It's possible that Kamani is a smash. I'm personally not comfortable taking J.K. Dobbins. I don't take a guy with his huge injury history, a guy whose calf is not the same size yet. I want to see what he does in pads. I don't care what he does against air. So I take Gus with confidence. I take Kamani sometimes, who's running as the RB4 right now, right? Behind Isaiah Spiller and Jarrett Patterson at times. And I don't take Dobbins. I don't take Dobbins. I don't take Chubb. I don't take Hawkinson a lot. I really don't take these injured guys. I've learned my lessons from the past. I had a lot of Will Fuller the year that he was not in the NFL. These guys who I think could be zeros, if they beat me, they beat me. And there is still time to adjust where if I get news that I think that these guys are really, really good clicks, I can adjust. What's your take on the Chiefs receivers? It seems more and more that I didn't post a link to this video. Let me help out my my Discord. The link to join the Discord is below. I forgot to post the link for them. So we're not going Rashad White. I'm going to update my rankings tomorrow. I'm feeling a little bit different about some of these guys. I like Rashad White, but I don't take a lot of Calvin Ridley. Let's get a share of him. ADP of 60, pick 67 is a little bit more palatable. Why don't I take a lot of Calvin Ridley? Well, I like guys like Roma Dunze more than him. I like Christian Watson more than him. I like Jaden Reed more. I like Xavier Worthy more. But Will Levis, I will say Calvin Ridley's skill set seems to fit Will Levis's game, which Will Levis's game is F it. He's open somewhere down there. And that should be music for Ridley, right? So Chiefs wide receivers. I think Rashee Rice, it seems prevailing sentiment is it's less and less likely he's going to be suspended. Now, Rashee Rice's ADP dropped as low as like 83, 86. I have some teams there. So I'm personally not too likely to be taking a lot of Rice if his ADP rises to the 50s and aboves, right? We are going to have to compete against these teams that got Rashee Rice 83, Rashee Rice 86. If you do, I think you want to be purposeful with it and think and mix in some guys who are rarely drafted on the back end. Not too super prohibitive, right? Rashee Rice went at the 2-3 turn. So that's how the market used to value him. Xavier Worthy, I like a lot. I think he could just be good at football. Hollywood Brown had some concerning efficiency metrics, but I feel like you have to mix them in too. I don't have a ton of Hollywood. I was drafting a lot of Worthy when he fell to the 6-7, like almost every time. So again, I'm not as likely to chase him up the board. Okay. Pick number are we here? 78. Let's get Jake Ferguson. Let's get an elite tight end, in my book at least, to go with 4 great wide receivers, 2 great running backs. We have, for week 17, Kirk and Ridley mini stacked. We have Terry and Bijan. But yeah, I agree that this could be the Mahomes nuclear year. We could see that 5,000 passing yards, 50 touchdown type season from him. I would also say, though, that week 17 matchup against the Steelers, maybe we see that. Also, maybe we see a pretty run heavy game where the Chiefs cruise to a win. The second half, they start running the ball because they're up so much. They want to prepare for the real NFL playoffs where there could be bad weather. So I'm not going as crazy on Chief stacks as other people, but you got to have some, Levis was my youth football quarterback. You mean like you were on a team with him in Pop Warner? Probably a dumb question, but why do people call it a bring back when you pick someone for week 17 matchup? Well, it's like, a bring back is technically Trevor and Kirk stacked, and then the bring back would be Calvin Ridley. So I call that, without the quarterback, I call that either a bring back or a mini stack. Pretty synonymous terms there. What's the most players you would stack off an offensive powerhouse team? Chiefs, Bills, etc. If the price is right, I'd grab the whole team occasionally. So I'd be okay. I'm definitely okay grabbing Mahomes at the 3-4 turn, grabbing 2 Chiefs wide receivers here, grabbing another one if another one falls. Okay, I like both of these running backs a lot. I think Dak is also in the cards here. Let's go Dak. I take these guys a lot. They fall sometimes. Let's get a different type, the Dak to Ferguson stack, not quite as common as the Dak to CeeDee Lamb stack. And yeah, would I prefer CeeDee Lamb? Sure. But could Ferguson score 2 touchdowns against the Eagles? Absolutely. That game kind of profiles as a shootout anyways. The people who are hating on Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, are very, very casual fantasy football people. I agree. It has a lot to do with him being injured, bad season, etc. We're not doing this again, JT. How can you draft for week 17 if you don't even make it out of the draft room? I'm going to answer this in case anyone else is thinking this way. But brother, I promise you we're not doing this one anymore. So, to answer that question for anyone else that is legitimately wondering this, you need to draft like you were right? Do you know if you're going to make it out of your pod? No, you don't. Do you know if you're going to make the finals? No, you don't. However, you want to draft like you are making the finals. And if you do, optimize for if you make it there. Why? That's when all the money is won. On my site, I broke down the math of BBM5 and some strategies to help you win. If you're a great drafter, right? You're a great drafter. You drafted 100% of your teams, all 150. You drafted 150 teams. You drafted 100%. You got them all to the playoffs. You'll now have at least one team in the finals 52% of the time, 53% of the time. At least one team, you'll get it there. That means you won't have one team 48% of the time. If you advance all 150, it's hard to make the finals. It's very top heavy. This was this year's payouts. It's not as top heavy this year, but still top heavy, right? It's going to sting if you finish, I don't know, 101st for $8,000 when first is $1.5 million. That'll sting. You'll feel good, right? You'll feel great that you got the money. We're gonna go with Jaden Daniels as our second quarterback. Like Brock Bowers a lot, but want to get Daniels here to go with the Terry and Bijan stack. Gives me 2 quarterbacks who I think have elite ceiling. Makes for a comfortable duo to stop at 2. And definitely means I'm not going to get Will Levis or Trevor Lawrence. Just fun. I think Bowers is fun too. Who's your favorite week 17 matchups? Literally broke that down in the playoff article I wrote today. So you're going to have to check that out. It's a good deal. $99. You get all my rankings. You get all my strategy articles. If you subscribe today, you'll get also the playoff contest information. Remember, for the playoffs last year, I was the one sounding the alarms. The Dolphins are bad picks. I did not think they could reach the Super Bowl. And I had a big bag on the Bills when it was looking like they couldn't make the playoffs. Bad result there. They lost to the Chiefs, right? But good process. You were much and I was also Texans over the Browns all the way. A lot of people were buying into the God, what's his name? Joe Flacco hype. I was not. If you just watch those games, it was obvious to me Joe Flacco was gambling. He was getting lucky. He was getting there. But he was a way worse quarterback than CJ Stroud. So typically an edge when you think one team has a much better quarterback than another and like it's a toss-up in the market, take the team with the better quarterback. I just want to win my money back. That is the wrong mentality for tournaments. I'm not worried about things like this. Did you see the Packers coach talk about how excited he is about the Jacobs Dillon 1-2 punch? Like, not every team is going to day 3 of training camp, they're not going to sit there and crown Marshawn Lloyd. So it's going to need a lot more than that for me to start drafting A.J. Dillon or to drop Lloyd in my rankings, right? When it comes to rookies, they don't even need to win the job until week 10, week 11. So all the wide receivers are gone. Seems like a good time to get a third running back. I do not get a lot of Tajay Spears. So let's get a Tajay Spears share here. Plays well with me having Calvin Ridley and Kirk, just kind of adding pieces to that game. An explosive player, Spears is. Chase Brown shooting way up in ADP. I have a huge bag on Chase Brown and Zach Moss. I think that was the right way to play it, not to take a stand. You don't want to miss the forest for the trees. What that means is you don't want to identify a valuable situation, but you chose the wrong player. Who are your favorite second-round receivers? I'd say Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. And when Marvin, Puka, or Garrett Wilson get there, Nico too. Those guys. I like good teams, wideouts. Yes, I created a best ball site to fake out the people who subscribe. Get out of here with that trash. That was a joke if anyone struggles with sarcasm. Thoughts on Jerome Ford? I'm undeep, but Chubb News scaring me now. Oh, in deep, I think you meant. I'm still drafting Jerome Ford with confidence. Is it possible he's not contributing week 17? Sure. Even if he's not, he has value. I personally think that if Chubb does make a miracle recovery and he's himself week 17, Ford would still be getting work. That's my opinion. Could be wrong. Like these wide receivers, but we're not going to let Trey Benson get by us at pick 126. With us having the Bijan Kyron duo, don't even need Trey Benson to contribute to start. So puts a little bit of pressure on our wideout room, clearly. Keon Coleman to the moon. Yeah, I did. I thought it was a pretty fish move for other ranking providers to trash Keon in their rankings because the GM said like some ambiguous stuff. Thoughts on Chris Rodriguez? I mean, you can mix him in at the end of drafts, but I will not be joining you. I think it's defensible to grab a share or two. I would not be going overboard there. When do you think BBM will fill? It is over 50% right now. I cannot. I don't know, man. Probably late August. Really kind of depends because there's overlay brewing for things like the marathon, drafters million, etc. Really did want to thank you guys again for anyone who has subscribed to the channel and helped me reach this 5,000 subscriber goal. Thank you so much. Anyone who's yet to subscribe, thank you in the future. We are on the road to 10K, a crazy number. I think I was around like 1,300 subscribers to start last year. Maybe I started this year around 2,000 or something. So we're going to the moon. Yeah, that guy's a bozo. Are you afraid Ayuk not practicing spirals to a down year. Debo sucked the year he held out. I am not. I understand your concern, right? Like, if he doesn't, looks like we're getting Gabe Davis or Josh Downs here, which feels good to get either of them. I think we're gonna go with Downs just because we already have Kirk. I mean, we could take Gabe too and just take another piece of that game, but I like Downs. 700 receiving yards. Of course, Gabe Davis has been historically a brand guy. And I do have a lot of Brian Thomas Jr. So taking Gabe is a nice way to kind of hedge that bet, not missing the forest per the trees again. But clearly it was going to be one of those two. So yeah, I'm not worried about Ayuk not practicing. If he doesn't practice by, I don't know. I really don't know what week. Like probably like August 19th, a little bit after that, then I'd be concerned. And I guess Kyle Shanahan has enough job security and could hold enough of a grudge. But I mean, like, trade the guy if you're going to do that, right? Don't be an idiot. Any thoughts on Taysom Hill this year? Same as the past? I think it's similar to the past, but room for more downside and room for more upside with the new coaching staff. It seems like he's getting more like Kendry Miller doesn't look like he's going to be a thing necessarily. Jamal Williams kind of dusty. I think Taysom could definitely get more work at running back. He could get more work at tight end too. Best Ball Mania fills, do they start another or one and done? No, they do not launch another Best Ball Mania late August. I feel good about my 50% Bijan. That's a little bit higher than my risk tolerance, but like I agree with you. It's a good spot. Hot take. Sanat will have a better year than Bowers. I like Sanat. They're talking up Zach Ertz a little bit. I'm trying not to overreact to daily camp news. Yeah, like this is the year since I am I have a best ball site. I'm digesting more camp news than ever before. And I really haven't to a large degree. We're going to go with Ray Davis as our fifth and final running back. I just think he'll be the RB2 in Buffalo. 2 plus possible for standalone value. But yeah, this is the first year I've like really like I mean, I've always read camp news, but like really trying to like dive into athletic articles and such like that. And it can be a whirlwind, right? Even for an experienced person like myself, like I know some stuff you can just ignore. Some stuff I think we should take the bait on, but it's just good to keep in mind that pads like either just got put on for some teams or they're not on at all for some teams. So it's hard. M Dog in the house. Thoughts on Drake London? It's kind of a tough click at the 1-2 turn when you can get Kyle Pitts at the 5-5-6 turn. Pretty similar bets. I want to have some, especially because he gets to play Washington week 17. And he could be a smash, right? Like Kirk Cousins supports elite fantasy options. We know that about Kirk. I think Kirk's health is a little bit fair to question, but early reports seem good. Ultimately, though, I'm okay ending up with a little bit less London in exchange to get more Nico, Debo, Ayuk, etc. Bijan or Brees in redraft? I would take Bijan. Thoughts on Chuba? Seems like a big advancement play with little playoff upside. Yeah, like unlike Jerome Ford, I think there's almost no shot Chuba's the guy over Jonathan Brooks down the stretch. Jerome Ford, you can at least like Nick Chubb is coming back from major injuries. Where did Rico go in this draft? He won a ADP 136. Okay, so we're done at quarterback. I mean, maybe we had a 6th running back, but we're probably done. So that means it's time to get some wideouts and tight ends. Let's go with Michael Wilson here. Michael Wilson plays the Rams week 17, so we're getting a Ram Cardinal bring back, a game that I think can shoot out. I'm done with the Pitts experiment. That's fair, man. It's like what you're saying inherently is that you had a bad experience with the player, so now you're biased against them. And that's okay, right? It's okay that is your feeling and how you're going to play it. I would just note, though, that there are reasons to be into Pitts. One, it definitely seems like he played through injury last year, right? And we have to assume that he is healthy, fully healthy, or at least healthier. Two, Kirk Cousins supports elite fantasy options, right? And if we just kind of copy and paste, and he had terrible quarterback play last year, and a donkey head coach who really didn't seem to be utilizing him the best. So if we just kind of copy and paste Drake London onto Jefferson, Pitts onto Hawkinson, Darnell Mooney onto Addison, you start to get to some appeal there. Is it a big deal for rookies to struggle at the beginning of training camp? I saw a post of May struggle on completions. I think reports have generally been positive for Drake May, but Paul, the answer is it's nuanced, man. Some I would say no, others I would say yes. Dean said, let's make my pick here. Would have taken Conklin. That is a bummer. I was really hoping one of these made their way here. Jordan Mason recently got some positive coach speak. I think how we're going to play this, though, is we're going to take Luke McCaffrey because we have Jaden Daniels. And, I mean, look, is Luke McCaffrey drawing live to be a bad pick? Absolutely, just like almost anyone in this range. However, in my opinion, he's at worst the 3rd wide receiver, meaning he is not a 0. Right? If you're the wide receiver 3, you're not a 0. The wide receiver 3 plays a lot in most offenses. Secondly, Jahan Dotson was terrible last year, and maybe Jaden Daniels fixes that, or maybe they say enough with the Jahan Dotson experiment. Luke McCaffrey, you're up. Thoughts on Theo Johnson? I've chosen him over Bellinger as the tight end to bet on. Seems like early reports have been positive too. Are you going to enter a Mastiff for the big dog? I've tried to enter the big dog. It never fills. The Mastiff, no. Don't really like the payout structure. Troy Franklin, I've not drafted at all. See, the difference between Troy Franklin and, say, Jermaine Burton is, one, I know is a valuable situation. Maybe the Bengals' 3rd wide receiver, right? The other one, like, I don't like betting on ambiguity on probably bad teams. I just had, I was taking Tank Dell somewhat with Stroud last year because I could bet against Robert Woods. Troy Franklin just got negative reports. Benjamin Albright's calling him like the wide receiver 6. So I don't take Troy Franklin a lot. Big dog's at 9 right now. Might get in there. Thoughts on Xavier Legette? I've definitely been drafting a lot of cheap Legette. I think Cade Otton is a pretty great second tight end. 10 picks past ADP. Probably going to run all the routes again. Ben Sinnott would have been. Sinnott usually goes after Otton, so a bit of a surprise for him not to be there. Can probably stop at 2 tight ends with this combo, and I might. With these other 2 picks could go into any position. One of them will be a wideout, but then I could go 6th running back. I could go 3rd tight end. I'm not going 3rd quarterback. Any faith in Louis Reese Zamit? You cannot draft him on underdog, I believe, but definitely, right? Like I've been drafting some Deneric Prince, almost no CEH, but I definitely think Reese Zamit could emerge as like the Jerick McKinnon or just, one of the running backs. As a Zach Moss fan, what do you make of Brown getting significant first team reps recently? Probably nothing to read into. I read into it that they want to get the young, higher ceiling player some reps and see what he can do. But it doesn't mean. Does it mean Zach Moss won't play? No. Does it mean that Brown is the one? No, it does not. Best Ball Brian, a YouTube member. Shout out you. I'm doing good, man. We reached 5K. This is my 100th Best Ball Mania. I got to land this plane. I think we're going to go with Javon Baker, who's getting a ton of hype. Now, he's getting that hype with like the 3rd team, but it's kind of the hype I want to buy. The vibes just seem good. Vegas has Zach Moss at 72 yards week 1. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There are players I have no exposure. Is it good to have some shares of everyone just in case? Dang. Was hoping to get Jalen Tolbert. Kind of forgot about that to go with Prescott. This guy's clearly a Camp News reader. Tolbert having a decent buzz. But maybe we'll be happier with Baker. Anyways, that question is more of a risk tolerance question. I personally am okay having some fades and some stands. I also usually recommend, like, one way you could hedge your portfolio is you draft and then maybe you do a higher buy-in entry, whatever that is for you, $75, whatever. And you take a bunch of guys you fade in that one as kind of like a hedge. This was my 555 team that won 250K. I took a lot of wide receivers I didn't usually draft. So it's really just it's a variance question, a risk tolerance question. But yeah, I think it's okay to have one team with a bunch of guys you don't like. Wide receiver 6 on the Pat Broncos, yuck. Wide receiver 6 on the Pats, though. I would say the buzz is very different for those two. I understand your sentiment. I also am more confident that Drake May will be a better passer than Bo Nix. Could be wrong. But yes, Baker being a 0 is definitely in Baker's range of outcomes. Absolutely. Let's go with Juwan Johnson. Let's get a third tight end. Why not? Just kind of have to hope that between McCaffrey and Baker, at least one of them is a decent hit, and then the rest should be strong enough. Juwan, reminds me a lot of the year I won BBM2. I drafted Jeff Wilson after he got hurt. Turned out to be nothing. He played that year. I think Juwan will play. So we got a Dak Prescott, Jaden Daniels team with Bijan, Kyron, Tajay Spears, Trey Benson, Ray Davis. Definitely some projection on these back-end running backs, but I like it. Brandon Ayuk, Christian Kirk, Terry McLaurin, Calvin Ridley, Josh Downs, Michael Wilson, Luke McCaffrey, Javon Baker, and then Jake Ferguson, Kate Otten, Juwan Johnson. Week 17 stacks. We have Trey Benson, Kyron Williams to go with Michael Wilson. So 3 pieces from Rams and Arizona. We have Bijan, Terry, Jaden Daniels, Luke McCaffrey. So 4 pieces from Washington, Atlanta. Another game that could be a shootout. We have Dak to Ferguson, no bring back. We have the Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Tajay Spears mini. So 3 pieces from that game as well. And that is it for our week 17 game stacks, but pretty good. Like this team a lot. Number 100. 729 streamed. Speak on Dowdle FUD. I already did that. Yeah, Matt Collins I considered there. Thoughts on Jalen Brooks? He could definitely be the wide receiver as well. How much is in the big dog lobby? Someone tell me. All right, we'll figure it out. I don't remember I need to grab my wallet for that. We're not doing a big dog this second. Any thoughts on Alan Lazard? I will be staying out of that one. Thoughts on Naylor / Powell? An Addison suspension could lead to a number 2 role. Those type of guys I would really only draft in something like drafters or the marathon, which are total points. I don't really want to draft those guys in a contest like BBM5 where they just seem very likely to be zeros, and it could just be a very ugly rotation. Vibes are just down in Vikings overall. But in total points, I think you could mix it in. In redraft, Josh Allen in 3rd, good or bad idea? Standard. It's probably a pretty good idea to grab elite quarterback and elite tight end because the ADP is probably so effing bad, where they have Nick Chubb ranked 60. Thoughts on Shipley taking snaps with ones? That one right there would be a more. Give me more. I've been big on the ship dog. Thoughts on Dylan Lobby? Seems like he won't be a 0. Seems like he will play some. Yet to be seen how valuable that is. Not a guy I'm taking a ton. Have you talked about Burton versus Yoshivas? What I did there is I lowered Burton a little bit in my ranks, and I really pushed Yoshivas up. Not that I'm willing to like take him where I have him ranked. So I'm gonna lower him a little bit because he's always there in the 18th. So really no need to take him much higher. But yeah, I don't think the market prices accurately reflect the possibility that Yoshi Voss is the 3. So seems like a good guy to mix in. Athletic freak, Yoshi Voss. I wasn't talking about the fill percent. I was talking about how much is in a room right now. Let's do a marathon. These rooms have been insane. Marathon is underdogs total points. Contest. Give me some Davis Allen Cope. You mean the tight end for the Rams? Been using your rankings, making sure I have a bag on the guys above market. I've been I draft off my ranks like pretty strictly. But the way to play it is when I have a guy ranked way above his ADP, which is not a lot, you should draft them closer to their ADP and try to get some other guys just to build a better team that way. I like Davis Allen. I think maybe he could be the 2. I've drafted him somewhat. He's far more athletic than Colby Parkinson. Gerard Jordan, a number 2, and Pierce gets traded. I don't see Pierce getting traded, but we need 6 more, by the way, for this marathon. But I have not taken a lot of Dameon Pierce, and I have taken Gerard Jordan. Seems like Gerard Jordan should have a role and is on a valuable team. Favorite late running back. That's answered in my rankings. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Are you getting any shares of Jamal Williams on the Saints? I am not. Doesn't seem like a super valuable role to be gambling on. You know, Taysom Hill could get work, so I'm just comfortable passing there. For him to be a league winner, he needs his offense to be elite, which seems pretty unlikely. And he needs like every skill player to get tackled at the 1-yard line and him to be that goal line back. It's just like a really big parlay you need to hit for him to be a great pick. He's a fun guy. He's a cool dude. Seems like he has a great personality. But he's 29, not great. Didn't play that much last year. If Kamara goes down, sure, that's I guess you one chance. Do you have any big strategy differences in marathon versus BBM? Well, the number one would be I don't care about the week 17 schedule and fantasy playoff schedules much. And also, this article here jumps into some total points winners on drafters, which is the same thing as the marathon, but PPR. It's free if you sign up. So I would just read this article. But yeah, these rooms have been insane. When you don't like, I'm assuming a lot of people are jumping in this because I'm streaming right now. So they should be better drafters. There's some wild childs in these rooms. Speaking of Jamal Williams, I love David Montgomery. I don't see David Montgomery is a fine, quote unquote, boring RB2. He has the contingent upside going for him. But I don't like he doesn't have this huge weekly ceiling, in my opinion. Let's go AJ Brown this time. Should you target divisional stacks? That's definitely something I think you can mix in. Yes, we've mentioned that before. Again, guys, if you missed the first part of my stream, dropped a article today on the playoffs for those who are playing not the marathon, and my, really just 5 thoughts I had about the playoffs. The first 2 paragraphs read, many people think about best ball the same way they would think about their managed home league, aka they try to draft players they think will be good values throughout the season. Hitting regular season league winners is great, but ultimately it's not what decides who wins all the money in best ball tournaments. Let's pause there and make our pick. This is an insane ADP on Saquon in the marathon. Different ADPs in this. Doesn't see as much draft volume. Let's go Debo this time. We won Ayuk in the other draft. Let's go Debo here. So I said, hitting regular season league winners is great, but ultimately it's not what decides who wins all the money in best ball tournaments. What decides who wins the money in this game we play is which players score the most points in the playoffs, and more importantly, the Week 17 games. Playoffs. A large reason I won Best Ball Mania 2 is I identified the Lions defense as a terrible run defense that year, and so I drafted a lot of Chris Carson and Rashad Penny, the Seahawks running backs, who played them Week 17. Carson got hurt, but Penny happened to be on my finals team, and combined with the bringback of Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Lions wide receiver on the other side, I got around 60 half-point PPR points and won $1,001 first place prize. I'll read one more paragraph for you guys. I said, now don't get me wrong. I view identifying plus Week 17 matchups as a quote-unquote micro edge, aka it's something I'd like to draft with in mind, but I'm not allowing it to dictate every single one of my drafts. For example, last year, I thought the Cardinals would be a terrible defense, especially against the run. And so I wanted to draft a lot of the Eagles running backs who played them Week 17. It turns out I was right. The Cardinals were a terrible run game defense that year. But as the NFL is a chaotic game, they actually ended up defeating the Eagles in that Week 17 game, and no contest winning running back plays emerged from the Eagles' backfield. Chalk that one up to good process, bad result. The rest, you'll have to read the article for. You can find it at my site, beatbestball.com. $99 gets you covered for the year there. Appreciate you, man. Like and subscribe. Help me out on the road to 10K. Let's get this bigger for you guys, too. Oh, yeah, that's looking way better. I thought you were coming back from Ireland with scheduled streams, Jordan. There's been a lot going on. But I'll try my best with that. I like Zeke more than Dowdle. But I think it's very possible Dowdle beats him out. Thoughts on Drake London? We already kind of talked about that. What does the free preview include? I mean, that just was a free preview. But if you're asking what you get if you sign up for free, you can read that total points article. I also wrote one article that doesn't even require you to be signed up. It's at the bottom. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and convince you to sign up with your email. That's literally all it takes. Do it or don't. I wish Monty was going closer to pick 90. Yeah, I agree. Wow, Devonta Smith picked 31. Hey, Jay Lizard with the $2 super sticker. Appreciate you, Jay Lizard. Pacheco's ADP way up on this. Let's get a Steph Diggs share. I like Tank and Nico more than Diggs, but again, don't want to miss the forest for the trees. Did you have any questions, Jay Lizard, or just wanted to support? You guys can also support by becoming a YouTube member. Appreciate the YouTube members. You get some cool stickers. So I'm going to take Hurts if he's there at pick 40. And if he's not, we'll take someone else. I'll also turn off these lights. It's kind of bright. Welcome to Baseball After Dark. Actually, that might be an overset thing. So Hurts does go. So we will not be taking him. Instead, let's go Zay Flowers. I did not take Zay Flowers because he plays the Texans week 17. I took Zay Flowers because I think he's a good pick in fantasy football. So we're clearly building some wide receiver strength here. Let me plug in my lamp too. More lamp. Kelsey, could have taken Kelsey. I didn't though. Kelsey, of course, is a high upside player. So is Zay Flowers though. It'd be cool to pay for like a 1-day pass or however many days to have access for however long. But the full year, I just feel like too much because that alone is 4 entries. Well, it's a full year. So it gets you covered for, I mean, I couldn't allow that because that would just allow people to download my rankings and leave, which I'm not going to give away that to the people who pay. And you're not just getting it for this year. You would also get, if you're going to be playing the playoff contests, you're going to get all my information for the real NFL playoff best ball. And you would get next year. And you're going to get the big board information. But if it's not for you, it's not for you. Yeah. Content for next year too. Flowers over Dell. I decided with me having Diggs, I'm going Flowers there. You know, a double stack isn't terrible by any means, but I feel like it's a little bit less likely to be the pure nuts. Do you think Howell could be used as a RB QB in Seattle? I really don't see that. I think it was egregious that they traded what they traded for him. You know, he passed a lot, but he wasn't very good. But no, I think he's just purely quarterback 2 there. Let's go with Rashad White again. I like White more than Mixon. Kind of interesting that Mixon's not been practicing, by the way. Market doesn't seem to care. What up, Chris? Couldn't find the marathon quick enough to get in with you? Got to go to your NFL lobby button. Again, I like White more than Mixon anyways. He's just younger. But with me having Diggs, not really too into making same team bets in a total points format. You'll get the beginning of next year. if you do now, but signing up next year is good too. Hopefully, I win a fourth, a fifth, a sixth best ball tournament this year. Kelsey going in the fourth is criminal. Never happens on DK. Yeah, one of the few spots where ADP is wildly different on DraftKings. Makes sense. People are hoping that Kelsey will be a PPR scam. So I think this is a good time to take Stroud. I don't really take Stroud in the 60s in something like Best Ball Mania 5 just because like I literally got a team today with him in the 80s. Stroud pick 82 to go with Tank Dell. So I know that's possible in something like BBM5. And so I'm not willing to take him at ADP. One hit, like Stroud's season long projection is not that different from Dak, Burrow, Brock Purdy, Goff, where, like, is it possible he throws for 5,000 yards? Sure. But it's also possible those other guys do. But the marathon is not the sharpest placed. And so I kind of just wanted to secure a stack there. Not if you keep winning, you have to retire. Can't retire. Can't retire, man. Gino's fragile? Maybe. He shouldn't be running too much, but I wouldn't categorize him as fragile. What player do you see the biggest difference based on site? Like their ADP, you mean? Or whether they're draftable? In general, guys who are going to, score more points via catching passes versus yards and touchdowns, you want more on DraftKings. Vice versa for underdog. Retire to give us a chance? Where does my content go if I retire? I think I give away a lot for free. You guys really want a summer of no streams? What am I going to do? Twiddle my thumbs? Professor Liam is tenured. He's got job security. Appreciate it, man. Dang, would have loved to get Christian Watson there. Let's go with Aaron Jones. I think he's a tier above these guys as far as upside goes. And something that could happen with all these Vikings injuries is that Jones gets used way more in the passing game. No TJ Hawkinson, no Addison maybe for stretches. That could be just Aaron Jones dump off music. Do you think the Stroud lineups that took him at picks like 45 are dead? I'm assuming you're talking about like Best Ball Mania, and my answer would be no, but they'll need to hit on some good ADP value. Do you tend to want to draft an elite quarterback in a cumulative contest with the need to get ceiling scoring from the quarterback position or not necessarily? Yeah, you need to get ceiling everywhere to win a total points contest. Let's go Curtis Samuel. Could definitely regret taking Samuel over JSN or maybe even Addison. But take a lot Keon Coleman. Have a lot of cheap Samuel. Definitely see the upside case for Samuel. So we're going Samuel that time. Um, the answer on the elite quarterback thing is you technically want the cheapest elite quarterbacks that are available, all else equal, right? Assuming that the skill position player you're sacrificing in these rounds is not beat out by the skill position player where the other person's taking their quarterback. So if Dak and Jaden Daniels are like quarterback 3 and quarterback 5, you'd rather take them, assuming that Zay Flowers or Tank or Kelsey or McBride or whoever outscores Curtis Samuel, JSN, Jalen Warren, Zamir White, etc. So it's complicated. But in general, yeah, you want to, like, I like to get quarterback at least by usually round 9. Even the winners don't have perk drafts, definitely not. Again, that is free to view the past winners on my site if you sign up. Do you think Rashee Rice gets suspended? Even if he does, I think his ADP is a smash. I'm really not sure. It's seeming less and less likely that he will get suspended, but just keep in mind you are competing with teams that have them in like the 80s and even hundreds. Have you maxed entries in years past? In Best Ball Mania, yes. Does JSN have a path to be the highest scoring Seahawks skill player? Definitely has a path, yes. If you win again, I'm opening up a collusion investigation. That's an idiotic comment. Of course, skilled drafters are going to be likely to win. How was your trip? Trip to Ireland was fantastic. Man, Swift a great value there too. Really was a great time hanging with the fam, seeing the sights, staying in my family's ancestor home, and had a great time at my friend's wedding as well. Wow. So Dak's chilling here. Don't really have anyone to go with him. We're going to take Tony Pollard as our third running back, though. Seems like a pretty great running back to get as your third RB for total points, to go along with the wide receiver quintuplet of A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, Stephon Diggs, Zay Flowers, Curtis Samuel, Rashad Wright, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, and C.J. Stroud at quarterback. Do you try to max every contest you enter, or is just a few bullets fine? No, I definitely do not max every contest I enter. Do you think Claypool's cooked? Yes. I mean, it's possible he emerges, but I think he's behind Tyrell Shavers right now. So, not great, Bob. On average, when is the BBM winner usually drafted? Cody, this isn't a great question because you're asking a sample size of 4 teams, but I can answer it. I do not know when the BBM1 winner was drafted. It was also a wildly different time. We got 2 wide receivers start here, dead on arrival. The BBM2 winner, which was my team. I mean, I'm tempted to go naked Dak here and figure it out. Not that tempted though. We're gonna go Dallas Goedert and take a shot at getting an elite tight end production. So BBM2 winner drafted middle of June, I want to say. BBM3 winner drafted mid to late July. BBM4 winner drafted late August, early September. BBM5 question mark. What do you think the odds are that the Bills wideout room is a huge rotation and none of them are great picks? I mean, none of them being league winners is a bit different from not being a good pick at all. You know, if Curtis Samuel has a 25-point game week 15, he's a great pick. If Khalil Shakir goes for 17 half-point PPR points week 16, great pick. So you have a lot of outs to being a good pick. I don't think it's that likely they're going to rotate in all five. That just doesn't make that much sense. So pretty low. But like, yeah, Matt Collins is probably going to play a little bit more than you want. What's one guy you haven't drafted much that you might regret not clicking? I'd go with the injured guys like Dobbins. If just like medical science beats me with Dobbins, Nick Chubb, those guys. What do you think about the Dobbins rise? I don't know, man. I've bumped him up a little bit in my ranks, but ultimately, I am okay with a guy beating me like that. This looks like a Darnold Hawkinson team. Hopefully not. This is a total points contest, so Hawkinson is an especially bad pick for something like this. You max the Corgi. That was single entry. MVS might not even make the team. I do want to get some Dobbins. I just don't have any. Is there room for Neighbors to rise? I guess he could get to like the top. He could go where like Achan goes. He can't get to the 1-2 turn, I don't think. I don't know, man. Like one preseason, this is probably not a good build either. Like one running back and 8 wide receivers is a little bit excessive, in my opinion. I'm not a big Javonte guy, but 129 feels like a great price where, and that's kind of how I want to approach guys. I don't draft a lot. I don't draft you a lot. You fall way past ADP, and let's hope you're a league winner. Win me 300 grand here, right? So pretty sick running back room for punting it off. Rashad White, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Javonte Williams. All 4 have a claim to be their team's RB1. Maybe Pollard is in this 1A, 1B. Maybe Javonte doesn't even make the team. Like, there are questions, but like it. We have an elite quarterback. We have an elite shot at tight end. We have 5 good wide receivers. So really just going to add depth from here. Really like this start, though. MVS not making the team would be because Tyrell Shavers makes the team. Teams do not rest players week 17. Jaleel McLaughlin going within 3 picks here of Javonte. So this is definitely a wide receiver spot for me, and we're going to grab Josh Downs again. Jalen Polk is fine too, but Quite like Downs. We do have a lot of week 14 buys at wide receiver, but, nothing crazy. I don't know what this is. I see it a little bit. Not there. Not really there, but here I see somewhat. Yeah, I see that like a little bit there. Maybe I am Adley Rutschman. Who is your highest owned player? You will find that out the day BBM5 or the day best ball season ends. These Jets takes, I quite think the Jets could be a really good team, Super Bowl quality. I don't think they're better than Buffalo. And early reports on their offense has been like highly mixed. It's like Garrett Wilson doing awesome. The offense sucks. So we'll see how that plays out. Do you know who Adley Rutschman is? After I Googled it, I did. Yeah, I forget his name right now, but I saw that too. Do you think it is a good idea to take a stand on a player in a specific contest, even if it's not reflecting your total exposure, i.e., taking 50% object estimate a puppy? I definitely think that's fine. I had 60% Gabe Davis the year I won BBM2. Do you think Devontae Adams will get traded to the Jets? I do not, but it is possible. Yeah, I mean, like this has to be dead to win. I guess his thought process is that like Bijan is RB1 and hits the lineup every single week for 17 weeks straight. He gets a lot of points at wide receiver. And who cares who RB2 is? Let's get Rodgers in here as our QB2 and figure out the rest. Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall drafters probably not happy, but you hope I win BBM5 because of Shakir? I have a lot of Shakir in BBM5, and I don't always remember clicking him. It must be a lot early. But no, I'm pretty even on the Bills wideouts. I don't want to miss the forest for the trees there. Conklin's a smash, like him a lot. Like the Bills Jets matchup for week 17. Yeah, this is a spot where I think the market is like undervaluing Bills pieces because they're afraid of the Jets defense. But I mean, that's 17 weeks out from now. And it's unlike a defense that is bad. For a defense that is good can like if the Jets defense lost Sauce Gardner and their D tackle, they would be bad. Like the going from elite to or they would be like middling. So it's quite easy to take a huge step on defense with just one or two guys getting hurt. This happened to the Bills defense last year where they lost like all their linebackers against the Chiefs in that playoff game. And so guys off the street were covering Travis Kelce. Not great. Yeah, let's lock in Conklin here. Getting that Rodgers to Conklin stack. Conklin's ADP way higher in the marathon. Bizarre. But yeah, no, I mean, I definitely think the Bills can produce against the Jets. I think the Jets can move the ball on the Bills defense too, especially through the air. And so is it possible it's like an ugly weather game? Sure, it's possible. But it also could be a sneaky shootout. Yeah, dude, the Bills defense was decimated. People, man, AJ Klein literally was in an RV going to Key West when he got called to go cover Travis Kelce. Insane. The mix of the Jets plus weather is my worry. Yeah, the market is like quadruple counting that though. Do you have any fear about Lamb or Chase missing regular season time? I mean, no. But like, couldn't you be fearful about every player missing time? How many redraft managed teams do you think you'll have? Around 10 or so. Maybe more. Jordan Mason seems like a legit 18th round pick now. Yeah, I definitely think he is. But also could be a 0. So I think this is my last draft. We're going to do 2 for today, guys. What do you guys think? Can Eag 76 less win with 1 running back through 14 rounds? I'm going to go with no. Mason got some buzz today. Are you taking any Fields or Russ? I take Fields some. I do not take Russ unless I get totally locked out at quarterback on DK, and then I take Fields and Russ together sometimes. Shanahan hinting that Mason is the 2. Yeah, it's hard to parse out these running back rotations. Preseason will tell us. Does he go running back? That is our question. What do you got? Eag 76 less. Such a mouthful to pronounce. Jeez. I guess he's auto drafting. Maybe he's just auto drafting. Maybe he just doesn't want to win. I really don't know what to say. Let's get Antonio Gibson. Confident he'll have a role, and with that, I'm stopping at 5 running backs. Think I should probably go 3rd quarterback. I don't really like to go 3 QBs, but Stroud and Rodgers are pocket passers, so probably like wide out QB and just hope Goddard and Conklin's good enough, or maybe wide out QB tight end. Is taking McCarthy/Darnold a bad idea? No, that's similar to the Russ and Fields thing, right? Like, I don't want to do that a lot, but I would say it's defensible on occasion. So the only thing that's not great about these running backs is 4 of them could maybe play for terrible teams. Vikings, Titans, Broncos, Patriots, not inspiring. I think it's easier to go 3 QB on DK, but I'll still do 2 there if I get elite or like 2 high ones. Okay, so this team is dead to me, even though it has a lot of wideout firepower. Probably between like McMillan and Chark for me here. Let's go Chark. DJ Chark, just always great to bet against Quentin Johnston. Why would you draft Wilson and Fields? Well, if you haven't done some of these DK drafts, it was a high stake draft, and I drafted Jaden Daniels as my QB1, and then every quarterback went like 2 rounds above what I thought was acceptable, and so I had Jaden Daniels, and literally the options were like Fields and Russ, and like probably like Gardner Minshew was there. And when I'm faced with that, I'd rather just lock in the certainty of getting the Steelers quarterback points each week versus possibly guessing wrong and not advancing because of it. They're going to throw this draft out. I don't think they will, because it's just like, it's not illegal to be a bad drafter. And maybe this guy's autoing. I don't know. Let's see who else is drafting okay and who's not. So this guy went Allen and Mahomes. Not my preferred strategy, but his team is fine enough. Okay, so this guy has Joe Burrow stacked with no one, so that's bad. But he does have Herbert stacked with Palmer, so defensible roster construction and everything. This guy went Kyler with McBride. Okay, logical. He went Watson with Judy. Okay, logical. And he has a sensible roster construction, so fine team there. This guy went Jaden Daniels with Terry. Sensible roster construction. He went Trevor with Brian Thomas and Ingram, so fine team there. This guy went Purdy with Kittle. Stafford with Cup. Sensible roster construction. He's fine. Naked Dak, but way past ADP, so like I'm okay with that. And then Baker to go with Mike Evans. Sensible roster construction, so he's fine. This guy went Goff to go with Amon-Ra. Naked Richardson. Sensible roster construction, he's fine. This guy's definitely dead. My team is fine. This guy went Lamar naked. He went Jordan Love with no one. His first 2 wide receivers are Keenan and McConkey. I mean, not technically fully dead, but probably a dead team because he has Jordan Love stacked with no one. So it just seems unlikely to win. This guy got Hurts to go with no one. Maybe because he's watching me stream. And then he's got Will Levis to go with no one. And Fields to go with no one. So not super logical over there either. All right, let's go Bo Nix to go with Javonte. I like Drake May too to go with Gibson. I think May is higher ceiling player than Nix, but Nix seems like he should be playing from the get-go, so I don't know. It was a close spot. Okay, to finish that, this guy won Will Levis to go with no one, so that is bad. And he also went 4 quarterbacks, so that's not good. And this guy went Gino to go with Lockett, sensible. Carr to go with no one. To go with Kendry Miller. Drake May to go with Douglas. So sensible enough over there too. So most people are drafting somewhat sensible, and then a lot of oohs. Let's go Greg Dulcich. Let's get a third tight end in the mix and stacks up with Bo Nix. So finishing this bad boy with Stroud, Rodgers, and Bo Nix. Rashad White, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Javonte Williams, Antonio Gibson. So definitely, like a shaky group to start at 5. Need them all to be healthy, or at least 4 of them, and need them to score a lot. Like really need Aaron Jones to be focused those weeks without Hawkinson, and maybe if Addison misses time, need Javonte to be a hit. Need Tony Pollard to be the winner of him versus Tajay Spears. Need White to hit the lineup quite a bit, and Gibson to give me something there. A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, Stephon Diggs, Zay Flowers, Curtis Samuel, Josh Downs, DJ Chark. A little bit thin of a group to stop at 7, but you can see the vision. Need Brown to be close to wideout 1. Need Deebo to smash. Need Diggs to at least not be terrible. Flowers need to be really good. Samuels to be good. And then Downs and Chark to give me a couple weeks. Dallas Goedert, Conklin, Greg Dulcich. Debatable if I needed a third tight end with me having Goddard and Conklin, but just need some touchdowns out of this group. What if you need Bijan and just Alexander Madison to win? 2 RB team. Yeah, I think the Barstool era is a new era of best ball. So I want to start getting some DK teams in because of that. Do you think it is acceptable to take week 17 game stacks at quarterback, even though they're naked? Example, Daniels when you have London/Pitts? Absolutely. Especially with a rushing quarterback. Took Mahomes at 61 on DK not stacked. I think you could have backstacked that, Jack, but I understand. I got killed at QB on 12. That happens sometimes in these marathons, which have been like very unsharp for whatever reason. Where like, yeah, you see this one. I named this one Terrible Room, where I went with a 4 quarterback Frankenstein of Rodgers, Derek Carr, Justin Fields, Bo Nix, because people were just having a good old vibe here. Dak and Purdy in the 5th and 6th. 2 elite tight ends, Tua and Baker Mayfield, of course. When you have Hurts, you need to get Trevor and Kirk. So, yeah, I just tried to stack like a bunch of quarterbacks and could not. And so we just ended up with a Frankenstein there. But the team turned out okay on my end. So, yeah, I don't know. All right, guys. Well, appreciate you hanging out with me for these 2 hours or so. Please do like and subscribe. We'll be back with more streams, probably a daytime stream, maybe tomorrow. And yeah, this 4 QB team, yeah, you just feel forced at a certain point, you know? And only like I tried to get Daniel Jones, I couldn't. I tried to get Stroud, I couldn't. I tried to get Goff, I couldn't. I tried to get Daniels, I couldn't. I tried to get Deshaun Watson, I couldn't. Just wild. One more? No, sorry. Gotta go. Appreciate you guys. Be back next time. Like, subscribe. Peace.